and he had equally exuberant mutton chop sideburns, which sprouted from each side of his face like angel wings. He rarely left the company of his PC, and Leah had seen him leave the house probably only 5 times since she'd moved to Silversmith Road. Leah had no idea who any of the people over the road were. She didn't know their names or their relationships. She had no idea who owned the house or what the setup was. Was it divided into bedsits? Was it a house share? Or some kind of strange, interbred family? She'd lived opposite the Peacock House for nearly 3 years, yet she'd never had a conversation with anyone who lived there. Never even exchanged nods or smiles. Leah was a curious person by nature. She liked to know what was what, who was who, how everything worked and fitted together. But she was also a Londoner who played by the rules regarding personal space and keeping yourself to yourself. So she sat and she watched and she wondered. And she waited because she knew that one day, somehow, she'd find a way to answer all her questions. 15 years earlier. 1st of August 1990.
Toby, Gemma and I are leaving for Cape Town tomorrow morning. I'm sorry we'll miss your wedding next week, but I'm sure you understand. I'm enclosing a set of keys. I've bought you and Karen a house as a wedding gift. Peter got it at auction. I haven't seen it, but Peter assures me it was a good buy. In need of some TLC, but structurally sound. Which is just as well, as this house also represents your inheritance. I thought it best you have something now, as I will be abroad for the foreseeable future, and once Gemma and I start our new family, things will get complicated in terms of who gets what. Much simpler this way. Property is a thing, Toby. You're on the ladder now. I can see big things happening with the London property market. Make the most of it. Peter says there's one snag, a sitting tenant. I'm sure he'll be able to advise you on how to get him out. I've enclosed Peter's card if you need him. I wish you and Karen all the best for Saturday. Gemma and I will raise a glass of champagne to you both as the sun sets over Camps Bay. Nothing much else to say except good luck, I suppose. Best, Reggie/Dad.
In August 1990, Reggie Dobbs came to the bitter conclusion that raising his only son had been a complete waste of his time, his money, and his sperm. He still recoiled at the memory of what bearing this gigantic heifer-lump of a boy had done to his first wife's young, firm body, and had never forgiven him for it. The enormous infant had continued to grow at a disgusting rate, 6'3" at 13, and thin as a streak of piss. Useless at sports, covered in spots, not a pretty sight. Toby had inherited his model mother's height, but sadly not her looks. It was unnerving, craning your neck to look up into the ineffectual gaze of your gigantic son, looming over you like an overgrown bird of prey. They'd sent him away to school at 5 years old, and tried to make more babies, but none had come. And then Angela had died, and Reggie had been stuck with this one son, a giant, a waste of space who claimed to be a poet. Reggie said,
Poet? You look more like a teapot in that ridiculous hat.
But somehow, by some incredible stroke of luck, this strange boy of his had found himself a woman who was prepared to marry him. Not a beautiful girl, but then Toby should be grateful for what he could get. He wanted to give them something, as he wasn't going to be a part of their lives, so he'd sat down with his accountant and concluded that his son was worth £75,000, £3,000 for every year of his life. He gave this money to his property broker and told him to get the best he could for it at auction. And then he and his third wife slipped into the first-class cabin of a 747 and flew to Cape Town, where another property broker was waiting for them with the keys to a penthouse apartment overlooking the Atlantic. Reggie didn't leave Toby a forwarding address or a telephone number. He just disappeared. Reggie wondered about Toby.